What are you applying from your earlier games like Freelancer to this new endeavor?
Well, I mean, if you take a look at Star Citizen, it really is a combination of Wing Commander with Privateer with Freelancer. So I'm sort of wrapping up all the different parts of what I've done before, and then sort of taking it to the next level and adding some new gameplay and features on that I hadn't done before. So I'm sort of trying to do everything that I wanted to do in Freelancer, and then also fix issues that I didn't have done correctly or I wasn't quite as happy with, and go from there.
And how open will this game be?
No, the game's going to be incredibly open. So you'll be able to go wherever you want. If you want to be a merchant, can be a merchant. If you want to be an explorer, you can be an explorer. You want to be a pirate, you can be a pirate. You want to be a bounty hunter, you can be a bounty hunter. And then inside that, if you want to sort of have the more single-player experience, you can do the Squadron 42 campaign, and there'll be some other opportunities to do sort of single-player style games. So for me, it's trying to be a combination between multiplayer and single-player. In the same way, I mentioned Demon's Souls a lot, but I really did like it. And they did a nice job of primarily being a single-player game, but they had these elements that sort of introduced multiplayer to it in sort of that kind of single-player experience, and it was kind of a nice hybrid. I'm sort of looking at trying to do more stuff and push it from there, but I think it will be a world that people can adventure around and have a great time in, hopefully for a long time.
What role will storytelling play in this game universe?
Well, storytelling is going to play a really big role in the universe because, my sort of brand of game has always involved, a heavy sort of sense of story and sort of cinematic flair. So that'll be a really strong part of what we're doing. And in Squadron 42, it'll be a very specific narrative. In the Star Citizen side, it will be less one overarching narrative, but more lots of little stories that you can run across and encounter that we will constantly be sort of updating and adding and sort of seeding around the galaxy also from the beginning, but also as the game goes forward. It'll be part of our regular content updates to not necessarily have 30 mission sort of branching stories for the open world, but there's something that could be 3 or 4 missions that has a small sort of story thread over here and then a different one in a different side of the galaxy.
And what excites you about returning to the games industry?
Well, on my side, the thing that's exciting is, what I'm doing right now. It's like the whole idea of crowdfunding, getting your community together very early in the process, having them be part of what you're doing, having them see what you're doing, getting their feedback for what you're doing, on a connected basis where I never could do it before when I was making my games before, because before I would work on a game for 2 or 3 years, put it, then it'd be finished, it would go to market, and then people would sort of see it, and hopefully they liked it, and then that would be like a month or 2, and then it would all start again, and you would go off and a little hole and start making a game again. And this sort of feels like you're much more connected to the people that really love this style of game and want to play it, and you're having a constant dialogue. So I find that like really invigorating and exciting.
So how have advances in technology opened up things for you more creatively?
Well, I think that there's much less of a case of it can't be done. So it's more certainly on a visual standpoint, you can pretty much do a lot of stuff that I always wanted to do, sort of that's very movie level of movie quality that we can do now. So that's definitely one thing. And the other aspects of it is just simple things like the web and everyone having broadband means that you can sort of connect to everyone at a high fidelity, have lots of players in one area. Not be 2 players, not be 4 players, but be a lot more than that. So all those things are sort of combined, I think, to potentially make these environments that can be like a great sandbox, a great sort of holodeck, if you will.
And how do you see crowdfunding changing the dynamic for game developers?
Well, I don't think crowdfunding is going to have the big publishers go away. You're always going to have the room for the massive blockbusters in the same way the movies always has a room for the big Avengers or Marvel movie. But I think what it does is it opens up. There's a whole segment of game designers and games where people would that maybe would sell 1 million or 2 million units. And in the old days, those people were like Sid Meier or Chris Taylor doing an RTS or something, or Peter Molyneux doing his God game. All those people would be like publishers would trip over themselves to sign and have them give them money to make a game, and none of those people are the publishers don't care anymore. They all they want to do is if you're not selling 5 million plus units, forget about it. So that's why they're all focusing on these big sequels that they know the last one sold 10 million or 20 million units, so we can do that again. Because when you're in the console business and you're doing these things, you're $100 million into it before you sell your first unit, and so that's pretty risky. So yeah, 1 million, 2 million units, yeah, you lose money on that. So, but there's definitely 1 million to 2 million people out there that like those kind of games, RTS games, isometric 3D game, RPG 3D games, Space Sim, for instance. And I think that what the sort of crowdfunding side's doing is opening back up that level of that, whatever it is, several 100,000 units sold to several million units sold, where it still can be a really good business if you're not in the console world where you have to pay a lot of money to have your discs manufactured and all the other things that come with the console game. If you're digital on PC, you don't have all the same expenses and costs. And I think it opens it back up because, there's a good business in that. I mean, if you can consistently sort of sell 1 million or 2 million copies, you can afford to make good games on the PC and continue to do them. It's just that, an EA or an Activision or Ubisoft, they're not really focused on that. And they don't need to be. They're doing great where they are. I just think that crowdfunding opens up a whole new other aspect. So someone like an Obsidian can go and get Project Eternity made and financed and sort of make that style of game that perhaps a bigger publisher would say, we know you'd sell 1 million or so, but it's not going to make a difference for us. And so I thought that's what I think the real win is of the sort of crowdfunding side. Is it's basically letting some of the sort of smaller genres, I wouldn't necessarily call them smaller, but anything besides the big top 10 titles have an opportunity to get made and be viable.